The wrestling world just exploded with news that has fans absolutely losing their minds, and you need to hear what went down backstage that nobody is talking about. If you love WWE drama, then make sure you hit that subscribe button right now, because things are about to get wild and you won't want to miss what happens next. Brock Lesnar and Roman Reigns were nowhere to be found on Monday Night Raw, and the reasons behind their absences are creating shockwaves through the entire WWE universe. Both superstars were scheduled to appear in fans-packed arenas expecting to see these titans clash or at least address their ongoing rivalry, but instead they got silence and confusion. The official word from WWE has been minimal, which only fuels speculation about what really happened behind closed doors. Sources close to the situation suggest that contract negotiations played a major role in keeping both men away from television, and these aren't just standard talks about money and dates. Lesnar has always operated on his own schedule, and WWE has accommodated his part-time status for years because his drawing power is undeniable. When Lesnar shows up, ratings spike and merchandise flies off shelves, so the company bends over backward to keep him happy. This time, however, there seems to be more tension than usual in discussions between Lesnar's camp and WWE executives. The Beast Incarnate reportedly wants more creative control over his storylines and has specific ideas about who he wants to work with going forward. WWE has been hesitant to grant too much power to any single performer, even someone as valuable as Lesnar, because it sets a precedent that other top stars might demand similar treatment. Roman Reigns missing Raw is even more surprising because he has been the cornerstone of WWE programming for nearly a decade. The company invested everything in making Reigns their top guy, and his current run as the Tribal Chief has been praised as some of the best character work of his career. His absence from Raw sparked immediate rumors about his health given his previous battles with leukemia, but those fears were quickly dismissed by people familiar with the situation. Instead, Reigns appears to be negotiating his future with WWE from a position of strength, knowing that his stock has never been higher. He wants guarantees about his position in the company and assurances that he will continue to be featured prominently as WWE enters a new era with different leadership and changing television deals. The timing of both absences is not coincidental, and some insiders believe there is coordination happening between Lesnar and Reigns' camps. Both men recognize their value and understand that WWE needs them more than they need WWE at this particular moment. With competition heating up in the wrestling industry and other promotions offering massive contracts to lure away talent, the leverage has shifted toward performers who can genuinely move the needle. Lesnar and Reigns are two of maybe 5 people in all of wrestling who have that kind of influence, so their simultaneous absences send a clear message to WWE management. The Shield reunion has been confirmed, and this is not a drill or a rumor or wishful thinking from fans who miss seeing Dean Ambrose, Seth Rollins, and Roman Reigns together. All 3 members are locked in for a return of the faction that changed WWE forever when they debuted over a decade ago. The Shield was lightning in a bottle when they first appeared, destroying everything in their path and establishing themselves as the future of the company. Their initial run together was cut short by betrayals and solo pushes, but the chemistry between these 3 performers never disappeared. Jon Moxley, who was known as Dean Ambrose during his first WWE run, is coming back for this reunion, which shocked many people because he has been very vocal about his frustrations with WWE creative during his previous tenure. Moxley left WWE in 2019 and immediately became a major star in other promotions where he had the freedom to be himself and tell the stories he wanted to tell. His return to WWE represents a significant shift in how the company approaches creative collaboration with its performers. Moxley reportedly has guarantees written into his deal that give him substantial input over his character direction and the Shield storylines, which would have been unthinkable just a few years ago. Seth Rollins has been carrying Raw as one of its most consistent performers, and his excitement about getting the band back together is genuine. Rollins has spoken publicly about how much the Shield meant to his career and how those early days shaped him into the performer he is today. He never wanted the group to end the way it did, with betrayals and animosity, so this reunion represents a chance to create new memories and give fans the Shield content they have been demanding for years. Rollins has been dealing with various rivals on Raw, but none of those feuds generated the kind of buzz that the Shield announcement has created in just days. Roman Reigns coming back into the Shield fold as the Tribal Chief adds a fascinating dynamic to the reunion because his character has evolved so far beyond where he was during the original Shield run. Back then, Reigns was the powerhouse enforcer who let Ambrose and Rollins do most of the talking while he handled the heavy lifting in matches. Now Reigns is the most dominant character in wrestling, and his presentation as a final boss-type figure seems at odds with being part of a trio. The creative challenge will be figuring out how to maintain Reigns' elevated status while still making the Shield feel like a unit of equals rather than one star and his backup singers. The targets for the Shield reunion are already being discussed, and several names have emerged as potential opponents for the reunited faction. The Bloodline storyline that has dominated WWE for the past few years could intersect with the Shield return, creating a massive family drama angle that writes itself. Solo Sikoa and the other members of Reigns' family have been feuding with him over leadership and control, so the Shield could be positioned as Reigns' chosen brothers versus his actual bloodline. This kind of storytelling would be rich with emotion and history while giving fans dream matches they never knew they needed. Nikki Bella experienced a wardrobe malfunction that has everyone talking, and while these incidents are unfortunate, they happen more often than people realize in the world of professional wrestling. The physical nature of the business combined with elaborate costumes and fast-paced action creates situations where clothing can fail at the worst possible moments. Nikki was in the middle of a segment when her outfit betrayed her and production immediately cut away to minimize the exposure, but not before fans in attendance and some watching at home caught what happened. The incident sparked debate about ring gear design and whether female performers are given outfits that prioritize looks over functionality. Many women in wrestling have spoken about the challenges of performing in gear that is more revealing or less secure than what their male counterparts wear. The double standard has always existed where female wrestlers are expected to look a certain way while also performing at the highest level, and wardrobe malfunctions are an inevitable result of that pressure. Nikki handled the situation with professionalism and continued her segment without letting the mishap derail what she was trying to accomplish. WWE production team deserves credit for their quick response in cutting away and protecting Nikki from prolonged embarrassment. In the era of social media and instant replays, these moments can be captured and spread across the internet in seconds, so the speed of their reaction mattered. The company also chose not to acknowledge the incident on television or in their official channels, which is the right call because drawing attention to it would only make things worse. Nikki herself addressed what happened on social media with humor and grace, which helped defuse any potential negativity and showed why she remains such a beloved figure in the wrestling community. The bigger conversation around wardrobe malfunctions and performer safety has been ongoing for years, and incidents like this bring it back to the forefront. Female wrestlers want to feel confident in their gear without worrying that every high-impact move or awkward landing might result in an embarrassing moment. Some performers have started designing their own ring attire or working closely with costume makers to ensure everything is secure and functional. The balance between looking good for television and being able to perform safely should not be difficult to achieve, but the industry has been slow to prioritize function over form. Behind the scenes at WWE, there is always more happening than what fans see on television, and the recent absences and announcements are just the tip of the iceberg. Contract negotiations are taking longer and becoming more complex as performers recognize their worth and demand better terms. The days of WWE holding all the power in these discussions are over because wrestlers have options now that did not exist before. Independent promotions pay well and offer creative freedom, while other major companies can compete financially with WWE for the first time in decades. The Shield reunion represents WWE listening to fans and giving them what they want, which is a refreshing change from years of the company insisting they know better than their audience. Fan demand for this reunion has been constant since the group split up, and every time two of the three members appeared together, the crowd would chant for the missing piece. WWE finally pulling the trigger on bringing back all three shows they understand the value of nostalgia when it is done right. The key will be not just reuniting them for a cheap pop, but actually building meaningful storylines that justify their return and give them worthy opponents. The Lesnar and Reigns situation is more complicated because both men are at stages in their careers where they can afford to be selective about when and how they appear. Lesnar does not need wrestling financially and only continues because he enjoys it and WWE pays him extremely well. Reigns fought for his life against cancer and came back stronger than ever, so he understandably wants to make sure his remaining years in the ring are spent doing things that matter to him. The standoff with WWE management is a test of wills to see who blinks first, and so far neither side seems ready to compromise. Fans are caught in the middle of these business disputes, hoping their favorite performers will show up but understanding that everyone deserves to be treated fairly and compensated appropriately. The wrestling business has exploited performers for decades with unfair contracts and limited rights, so the current generation pushing back and demanding better is long overdue. If that means missing a few episodes of Raw while details get worked out, then most fans are willing to accept the trade-off if it results in happier performers who stick around longer. The wardrobe incident involving Nikki Bella is unfortunate, but it also highlights how live television always carries risk and unpredictability. No amount of planning or preparation can prevent every possible mishap, and part of the appeal of wrestling is that anything can happen at any moment. Performers train for years to handle unexpected situations and keep the show moving forward no matter what obstacles arise. Nikki demonstrated that training and professionalism by not letting a wardrobe malfunction destroy her segment or shake her confidence. Looking ahead, the Shield reunion could be the biggest angle of the year if WWE handles it correctly and gives fans the dream matches and storylines they have been waiting for. Lesnar and Reigns will eventually return once their contract situations are resolved because both men love performing and WWE needs them to remain at the top of the industry. The temporary absences create anticipation and make their eventual returns feel more important, which might actually be beneficial in the long run. Wrestling is at its best when the lines between reality and storyline blur and fans cannot tell what is real and what is scripted. The industry is changing rapidly, with performers having more power than ever before and companies being forced to adapt or risk losing their top talent. WWE is learning that they cannot take anyone for granted anymore and that even their biggest stars will walk away if they do not feel respected and valued. The Shield reunion is a step in the right direction, showing that WWE can listen to fans and make smart creative decisions when they choose to. The wardrobe malfunction is a reminder that live performance always carries risk, but professionals know how to handle adversity and keep moving forward. Everything happening right now in wrestling is connected with contract negotiations affecting who appears on television and creative decisions being influenced by what performers are willing to do. The Shield reunion was likely sweetened by concessions WWE made to get Jon Moxley back in the fold and keep Seth Rollins and Roman Reigns happy. Brock Lesnar missing Raw probably involves money and dates and control over his character, while Reigns wants guarantees about his future role in the company. These business realities shape what fans see on screen, even if most viewers do not think about the negotiations and compromises happening behind the curtain. The next few months will be critical for WWE as they navigate these various situations and try to build momentum heading into their biggest shows of the year. The Shield reunion needs to deliver on its promise and create moments that justify the hype and anticipation. Lesnar and Reigns need to reach agreements that satisfy everyone so they can return and continue their roles as top attractions. Female performers need better gear and support so wardrobe malfunctions become rare exceptions rather than recurring problems that distract from their work. Wrestling fans are passionate and loyal, but they also expect quality and effort in return for their time and money. The recent developments show WWE is trying to improve and address concerns even if progress is slower than some would like. The Shield reunion is exciting because it brings back something special that fans missed and gives three talented performers a chance to create new memories together. The absences of Lesnar and Reigns are frustrating but understandable given the business side of wrestling that never stops even when cameras are not rolling. If you made it this far, then you are a true wrestling fan who cares about what happens both in front of and behind the camera, so make sure you subscribe to stay updated on all the latest news and developments as these stories continue to unfold.